Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The real reason Lindsie Chrisley left Chrisley Knows Best revealed. Lindsie Chrisley's sudden departure from her family's reality show was not her choice. New reports claim the exit was prompted by a major demotion by producers. This revelation sheds new light on the family rift that has kept her off-screen for years. The shift occurred after the show's 5th season. Insiders say her role was significantly reduced against her will. Behind the scenes of the family drama. According to a report from Radar Online, Lindsie's filming status was officially downgraded. Producers moved her from a main cast member to a friend of the family. This status change meant she would only appear for special events. An insider explained the immediate fallout. Lindsie reportedly pitched a fit over the decision. The demotion directly clashed with her standing on the popular USA Network series. A clash over privacy and production. The conflict started before the status change. Producers had asked Lindsie to be more open on camera. They wanted her to share more details from her personal life. She refused to show things going on in her life. This reluctance did not sit well with the show's producers. Her other family members were reportedly complying with similar requests. This refusal created tension behind the scenes. It ultimately led to the decision to minimize her role on Chrisley Knows Best. The full story behind Lindsie Chrisley's exit highlights the intense pressures of reality television. Her Lindsie Chrisley exit was a pivotal moment that forever changed the dynamic of the show and her family. For years, Chrisley Knows Best was the picture-perfect portrayal of Southern charm, family humor, and the sparkling lifestyle of Todd Chrisley and his tight-knit clan. But fans who followed the show from its early days know that something changed when Lindsie Chrisley, Todd's eldest daughter from his first marriage, quietly faded from the family's reality TV spotlight. Her absence left fans guessing and gossiping. Now, sources close to the Chrisley family and subtle clues from Lindsie herself may finally explain the real reason she walked away from the hit USA Network series. At first glance, Lindsie's exit seemed like a matter of timing. After all, she had been a central part of the first few seasons, often serving as a grounding presence in the midst of her father's dramatic one-liners and her siblings' playful chaos. But beneath the picture-perfect smiles, tension had been brewing. Lindsie's relationship with her father, Todd, had always been complicated, even long before cameras entered their lives. And when fame came knocking, the cracks widened. According to insiders, Lindsie never fully embraced the Chrisley brand that Todd worked so hard to create. While her siblings Chase, Savannah, and Grayson leaned into the family's fame, appearing on spin-offs and promoting luxury lifestyles online, Lindsie craved something different. She wasn't interested in being part of a scripted reality, one insider revealed. Lindsie wanted authenticity, not the version of herself that producers wanted her to play. As the show's success grew, Todd's persona, equal parts patriarch, perfectionist, and self-proclaimed moral compass, became the face of the franchise. For Lindsie, that came with pressure. She often felt that she couldn't speak her truth or make her own choices without it being filtered through her father's brand. Behind the scenes, sources say arguments erupted about storylines, editing choices, and how much of her personal life would be featured. It wasn't just creative tension. Family dynamics turned rocky when Lindsie's relationships came under scrutiny. Her marriage to Will Campbell, whom she eloped with against Todd's wishes, reportedly drove a wedge between her and the rest of the family. Todd's disapproval of her decision, and his tendency to voice that disapproval publicly, became a sore spot. On screen, fans saw hints of the tension, but off-screen it was much worse. When Lindsie and Will briefly split, the family drama escalated. In interviews, Todd seemed to question his daughter's choices, and at times, fans thought he was shading her on social media. Lindsie, in turn, began distancing herself not only from the show, but also from her family's public image. She wanted to protect her privacy and her son, another source shared. The spotlight wasn't kind to her, and she didn't want her child growing up in that environment. As her father and stepmother, Julie Chrisley, faced growing public scrutiny and eventually legal trouble, Lindsie remained publicly quiet but emotionally torn. Though she was no longer on the show, her name was often dragged into headlines whenever the Chrisleys made news, and that didn't sit well with her. She wanted to forge her own path, separate from the world of family drama and courtroom headlines. But the breaking point came long before the legal battles. Insiders claim that Lindsie's final decision to leave Chrisley Knows Best came after an explosive behind-the-scenes confrontation during filming. She felt ambushed, one person familiar with production said. There was a moment when she realized the show was no longer about family love and laughter. It was about conflict, and she didn't want to play that role anymore. In the years since, Lindsie has found her own rhythm outside of Chrisley Knows Best. She launched a successful podcast, Coffee Convos, where she shares her thoughts with a tone that's far more vulnerable and honest than the polished family show ever allowed. Through her podcast and social media, she's subtly addressed her past, her relationship with her father, and the challenges of living life under constant public scrutiny. "I had to find peace away from cameras," she once said. "Sometimes love means distance." For Todd Chrisley, the absence of his eldest daughter was something he couldn't ignore. Over the years, he's made several public statements about the estrangement, often expressing both hurt and hope for reconciliation. At times, his comments seemed pointed. At others, they revealed genuine heartbreak. "I will always love my daughter," Todd once said. Even if we don't see eye to eye, love story is what makes Lindsie's departure from Chrisley Knows Best so emotional for longtime fans. Her exit wasn't about fame, contracts, or Hollywood politics. It was about reclaiming her identity. In a family where image meant everything, Lindsie dared to walk away and rebuild herself on her own terms. And yet there are signs that time and life's hardships may be softening the rift. When Todd and Julie Chrisley began serving their prison sentences, Lindsie was one of the few family members to address the situation with empathy rather than anger. On her podcast, she spoke of forgiveness, healing, and the complicated layers of family bonds. "At the end of the day, they're still my parents," she said quietly. "And no matter what's happened, I still wish them peace." For fans, those words offered a glimpse of hope. That maybe someday, the Chrisleys could find their way back to one another, even if the cameras never roll again. In many ways, Lindsie's story mirrors the bittersweet reality behind countless reality TV families. The line between entertainment and real life is fragile. Fame can amplify love, but it can also distort it. What viewers saw as harmless drama was, for Lindsie, deeply personal pain. And leaving wasn't an act of rebellion, it was an act of survival. Now, years after her exit, Chrisley Knows Best itself has ended in heartbreak and reflection. Yet Lindsie's departure remains one of its most telling chapters. A reminder that behind the laughs and lavish homes, the Chrisleys are human. Their biggest struggles weren't scripted, and neither was Lindsie's decision to walk away.